Welcome to the podcast, Eye for Talent, the show where we've got an eye for talent. I'm your host, Dylan, aka DJ Cereal Sauce. I'm a YouTube content creator, Twitch streamer, producer, I guess former Twitch streamer. What else do I do? I don't know. I try to do voice acting stuff. It doesn't matter. This isn't about me. Joining me is Lovmura, aka Bree, aka maybe she has some other nicknames. I'm not 100% sure yet. She does a lot of things, right? And so here's the thing. VTuber, artist, Twitch streamer, YouTuber, which is a new revelation to me, does a lot of rigging work for models as well, is a baker, but in a non-professional context. And it's not really important that I brought it up, but I felt like it because it's funny. And overall, in my estimation, cool as fuck. So, welcome on. How do you feel? How's it going?
Thank you. Thank you for that banger introduction. Oh my God.
I try my best. I'm like, give them a list and then go from there.
It's a great way to structure it. I'm feeling fine. I'm feeling okay. I'm a little sleepy. It's very cold here. But yeah, happy to be on.
Fair enough. I'm happy to have you on. I right before this, I made it clear that anytime somebody is like, I'm nervous to be on this show, I make fun of them a little bit because I think it's funny. But the crazy thing is that depending on who I'm talking to specifically, I get into this chat room and I'm nervous because I'm like, oh God, am I going to flub something? Like I'm supposed to be the professional in this podcasting context. And I'm sitting there and my teeth are chattering and my timbers are shivered. And I'm like, am I going to fuck this up? And most of the time it's probably because whenever I go to DM somebody, be like, hey, I'm interested in the things you do. Do you want to come on the show? Most of the time, the way that they text me does not accurately reflect the way that they talk, which is a good thing because usually on their messages, like there was a guy that I messaged once and I did my whole long drawn out thing. I was like, here's what I do. Here's why I think you'd be cool to come on the show. I would just like to talk with you and talk the shit or shoot the shit. That's what it is. How do you feel about that? And literally all he said was, yeah, sure, I guess.
Oh no, yo, that's like the worst response you can get.
I was like, that's so fucked up, bro. And then I brought him on. But like the good news is I knew how this guy was because I've seen his content. I'm like, he's just as wacky and crazy as I am. So it was a good thing that the way that he texted, or it was a good thing that the way he talked did not match the way that he texted. And luckily with you, that wasn't nearly as big of an issue. But there's some people that I'll go to message and they'll be like super dry in their response. And then I'll bring them in and it'll just be such an engaging conversation. So that's why I'm always nervous bringing people on who, I don't know, just bringing on people in general who like aren't close to me as like an actual friend. Cause I'm like, am I going to fuck this up? Are they not going to like this conversation? Is this going to be a bad podcast episode? Am I going to feel bad releasing it? So, thank goodness I was able to use the way that you reacted on the talk show that you were on several months ago as a baseline of being like, okay, I think I know what I'm working with here.
I was so nervous on those, but I still think like getting to come on something and like talk like this is like it's fun, it's engaging, and I'm just like, I hope it is not boring for me to just come on here and talk like this.
I mean, from my estimation, it seems like most of the way that you talk is most of the way that you talk in any other context. So it's like the only people who are going to find it boring are the people who find the normal way that you talk boring. And if that's the case, they probably shouldn't be clicking on a podcast title that has your name at the front of it.
Yeah, that's true.
They come in and they're like, this person's boring as shit. And I'm like, do you have a history with them being boring? Yes. And why'd you click on the episode?
Oh my gosh. That's actually reminds me. I've had someone come onto my stream, see me like drawing an anime character, and then complain that all of the art streams are drawing anime characters. I'm like, why'd you click on the stream of a person drawing an anime character?
That's like people who come on to, I don't think I've ever had this happen before, but it's like people who come into art streams and are like, this is boring. And it's like, what did you expect? Like, if anything, I think of all the art streams that I watch, yours is technically the highest engagement and like the highest energy levels. But that's because like, I feel like most of the art streams that I watch, the person like just woke up and they're like, all right, gotta go. And then they haven't like had anything to jumpstart their day and they don't have any energy in them yet.
That's really how it goes. But also, I like those vibes. I like just sitting there and watching the process. I think it's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Like thank goodness you specifically stream within the hours that I work, because I tune in and I'm like, it's like one of those things where people will tune into really quiet streams of somebody doing something because they're like, we're being productive at the same time, smiley face.
Exactly. It's like working alongside each other.
Yeah. So yeah, I think people who come into chats like that and are like, "You're boring," it's like you need to piss off. You don't belong here.
Why did you come in here?
Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense, but that's not. I'm not here to trash on these people. I'm here to talk about all of the shit that I said at the top of the show. Because by God, you do a lot of it, and I've tried my best to cover like most of it, if not all. I think the only thing I didn't cover here is being a baker. Because again, actually, there might be a question tangentially related to that. We'll get there.
Okay. I'll be ready.
Yeah, it's like all that baking knowledge you have in the back of your head, just when you thought you could like push it aside, you're like, I'm going to talk about art. I'm going to talk about being a streamer. I'm going to talk about all these things. I'm like, so what about baking? And you're like,
okay. Suddenly I have to be prepared.
Yeah, I have a baker friend. I'm going to show them this portion of the episode, and they're going to be like, this person's a fucking...
Not like this.
No, she's cool. Every once in a while, she'll come into my streams, and she'll be like, hey, for Thanksgiving, I baked 6 pies. I'm like, can I see them?
Oh,
She's
hell
like,
yeah.
Yes. Shy, if you hear this, shouts out. We love you. Anywho, this is a question that I don't know if I can in good faith ask, because it feels like, what's the word? It feels like I'm stroking my own ego here, but I'm curious as to, from your perspective, I'm just a dude who shows up to your streams occasionally. I make some funny quips and funny comments, and then I sit there most of the time just lurking. I DM you on Twitter and I go, hey, do you want to come on this podcast? What compelled you to be like, yeah, sure, that sounds like a fun time?
Okay, I think it was probably the combination of I've been on talk show interview type thing before, and I was like, okay, that seems fine. Then I decided to be a little snoopy or whatever and look into what this podcast was, because I was like super nervous. I was like, uh-oh. I was like, let me like do my research, I guess.
Which, yeah, that makes sense.
Because like, I don't know. I was just like, oh, whoa, I've never been asked to be on a podcast before. Is this is this something I can do? But like I was literally like thinking about it for like, it felt like so long. And I was like, nah, you should just do it. Just do it. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Why not? Yeah, genuinely, the way that I like to look at that whole thing is that if I ask somebody to come on, it's because I really enjoy the shit that they do. And I usually do it because I know that they have a kind of personality that can make the show engaging. So I think, obviously, I don't expect people to know that, because they will have to listen to hyper-specific episodes that I mention this as the case. If I reach out to somebody, the only thing that I'm expecting them to, that would stop them from coming on, is them being like, I don't have the time. I don't want to be on a podcast. Maybe sometime in the future. And so I can imagine from your perspective, you're like, am I interesting enough? And from my perspective, if I had known that was the issue, I would have been like, yes, definitively yes. That's why I think I asked. I was like, how good? I was like, the second question, how good are you at talking about yourself?
I was like, oh, well, I have no idea. I guess I'm okay. I guess I was okay enough. I made it on here.
Yeah. Well, I guess technically you wouldn't have made it on here if you didn't think that you were good enough, and you would have been like, no, thank you.
Yeah, exactly.
I could say also definitively from the talk show, they follow a similar format. I think I just have more set in stone questions that are kind of revolving around a few things. And the talk show that you were on was like it was all over the place in a way that I thought was super funny. It was just like
that was freestyling.
It was like, what do you think about creepypastas? And I was like, well, how did we get here?
Oh man, that was super fun though.
Yeah, it was very engaging to listen to. I didn't really understand what was happening, but I didn't care. But no, I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that you found yourself engaging enough that you'd want to come on another show. And I actually 150% respect the fact that you were like, I need to do my research. Partially half because it's like, I need to make sure that what's happening here isn't some shady shill bullshit. And on the other hand, you're like, is this even the type of show that I should be allowed on, or that I could be good on? Because I'll admit there's probably people that I've reached out to that I have in hindsight been like, maybe they're not good to come on a show of this caliber, because it really is just me being like, this is all about you and the things that you do, and I will occasionally interject some comments into it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just like, Whenever any of this kind of anything, someone reaches out to me to do something, I'm like, I have to like look into it first because like, no, not only is it the paranoia of being scammed and stuff, but like,
Well, yeah.
I'd like to know like what I'm getting myself into ahead of time. So
Yeah, you have to like mentally prepare. You're like, oh god, is this?
yeah.
That's also I usually try and structure my messages to look as I have this weird conundrum that happens where I'm always like, especially because there have been times where I've reached out to like pretty large content creators relative to the space that I operate in myself, and so I have this weird thing where I have to like because one of the guys that I reached out to, I had to send him an email because I couldn't DM him on Twitter. And I was like, okay, I need to be a professional because this is in an email and not in like a Twitter DM. I need to be professional, but I don't want to look like a bot or a corporate shill. But I also don't want to look like a fanboy or like a child.
The balance.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so much worse doing it in an email.
Yeah. But then it probably one of the funniest payoffs for that happened, which is that he then went and DM'd me and he just says, "Hi, I hope this isn't creepy, but I thought I'd reach out to you on Twitter in response to your email." And I was like, motherfucker.
Damn. Could have done this first.
Yeah, could have, but again, they're like, you're not verified on Twitter, so you can't. They're like, you don't pay us $8 a month, so you can't message this guy. I'm like, this dude,
bro. I didn't know that happened. I didn't know Twitter did that now.
Yeah, I don't know if it has something to do with like specific users and their settings, but there are people who I've tried to reach out to in Twitter's like, we do not allow that to happen. But then like a few other people that I try and reach out to, they're like, yeah, it works just fine. So I'm assuming it has something to do with their settings.
It might, yeah, it probably is then.
But either way, we're happy to have you on. I say we as if there's a person behind me. There's not.
There could be.
I turned around to make sure there was no one behind me.
Okay.
So okay. This is kind of a two-part question, sort of. So that talk show that you were on, and for the record, I'm going to link it down below because it was an exciting talk show, and you might need that for some context leading up to this. You mentioned that you kind of had sort of began drawing some characters from some obscure television show that, to be honest, I don't even remember the name of off the top of my head now. I want to remember. I want to know what that is again, so that I can definitively have it in my lexicon of knowledge. And then also, did any kind of inspiration to start drawing start earlier than that? And what did that kind of look like, if it did?
If it was an obscure media I was drawing, my guess is that I probably mentioned an RPG Maker game, because that was what I was really into when I first started posting art online. So my guess is that it was probably a French RPG Maker game called Off. I know that's drawing the characters from that game is what made me start posting art on Tumblr, which is when I started taking it more seriously.
Oh, okay.
But before that, I was probably just drawing maybe Naruto characters, maybe Vocaloid characters.
Wait a minute. That was another part of it. I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, because when I was like really, really young, I would literally like pause on the Vocaloid like music videos and like try and copy the frames onto paper to learn how to draw like that. I don't know how effective that was, but like I remember doing that.
It's like all the images are super fuzzy, and not because you're like a bad artist, but because the picture itself had motion blur on it because they were in the middle of moving when you paused it.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it was mostly you were just like, this is a style that I really enjoy. What if I could make something like this?
Yeah, probably. Either that or like taking those and like modifying them into my own characters or something like that. Probably. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
Like making an OC in that sort of aesthetic art style.
Yeah, definitely something like that. I know I did draw like a lot of Vocaloid. I know before Tumblr, I was on DeviantArt. I was drawing like a ton of Vocaloid stuff on DeviantArt. I know that. Drawing Miss Miku. I'm sure there's like a ton of like, because Vocaloid in terms of fandom back in the day, I don't remember too much about it because I was like literally like 13 or something.
Some would call that barely sentient still.
13, 12, I don't know. But like Vocaloid songs, I remember there's like a ton of super edgy ones. And I was like, oh, let me get my, I don't know, Dementia Darkness Ravenway moment out here and draw some dark Hatsune Miku and post it on DeviantArt. And like, it was like, I don't know, especially because I know around that time I was also probably given like my first drawing tablet as well. So like, not me forgetting where I was going with this. Hold on.
I'm going to assume it's something to do with like the ease of being able to have something that has like electronic access. You were just like,
yeah. So like, as soon as I was like given a tablet, it was like, oh, let me just draw so much Vocaloid instantly.
never lose it, and then just send it into the ether, be it good or bad.
Exactly. My old DeviantArt is still up, but like the name is cringe. It's like some weeb shit.
Yeah, sounds about right. Sounds like all things must go through some weeb shit phase. I'm convinced.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you're right.
It's sorry, no, I'm laughing because you mentioned that you were like, let me draw a dark Miku. I don't know if you meant like evil or like dark skinned, but because I assumed dark like evil, and
yeah, dark like evil.
It reminds me of the meme of the guy. He's like, this is just a glimpse into my twisted mind, and it's just like an angry face drawn poorly on a piece of paper.
Yeah, kind of like that. It was either like dark as in evil or dark as in like sad, like emo.
Oh, yeah, that's fair enough. And so then you've subsequently made the change from you made the change from dark, which is evil, or dark, which is sad, to dark, which is skin color. You're like, right. You're like, I'm finally.
I've gone through enough phases. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I can't get over that stupid image in my head now. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to think of what the aesthetic of those kinds of not SFMs, HMVs, I think is what they're called. Probably would have been at the time, because that's where I'm naturally assuming a lot of them came from.
HMV. When I think of like Vocaloid music videos, I think of PV. Like, I don't remember.
I'm
what
thinking
PV
of an
stand for.
Hold on. What?
What's that promotional video? I think I don't know, but like,
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. I try and pretend like I'm involved in that kind of community for some reason, even though I'm not, and I never had any intentions to be.
Oh, understandable. Listen.
Either way, it doesn't matter. I'm just flummoxing. Now that I've forgotten what that type of video is called, I'm just gonna give up and move on. This is always one of my 2 or 3 favorite questions to ask people in general, because it's something that I think a lot of people don't talk about, and a lot of what people don't ask about, I suppose. So, where did you come up with your internet handle as it currently exists? And then where did you come up with your aesthetic? Like, which one came first, and then how did it get introduced into the second one?
Okay, so the name came first. I can actually break down the name Lovmura because it's kind of weird where it came from. So the Mura part came from my original Tumblr username, which was Murasaki and then some other stuff, but just to not give that out because I still use it. But like the word Murasaki was in there. Purple was my favorite color. Purple in Japanese, weeb shit. But I took the name Mura. I went by Mura on the internet for a good amount of time. Eventually I made an art side blog on Tumblr, which was Mura Love. Okay. Love came from an OC I had back when I was still like deep in Splatoon fandom. So that would have been like 2016.
Yeah, because didn't you say you really got into that when it like first came out?
Yes, I was super into Splatoon 1 and then I dropped it like after that game. I was really into the first one and I didn't follow through with the other 2 games. But then I realized that Mura Love is like an actual real name. That's like an actual real last name. And so I switched it around and that's how I got Lovmura.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. It's funny because I actually know somebody with the last name Love. Honestly, if I had known you had gone through a weeb phase prior to this, or if I had been smart enough to connect the dots, because I'm sure I did realize my brain was shut off when I heard that part, I probably would have been like, Oh yeah, that is like the Japanese word for purple. Because fun fact, I took 3 years of Japanese, and they gave me a plaque, and I still can't read it. But that doesn't matter. I would have naturally assumed it would have been like, this is my Tumblr art page dedicated to shit in. What if it was purple?
Oh, oh, I wish it was like that. No, it was literally just my favorite color at the time, which is no longer my favorite color. Now my favorite color is very obviously pink.
If nobody has heard of this creator before, they're going to be like, okay, cool. And anyone who does, if you had said anything other than pink, I think people would have rioted.
They would have started a war. But as for the aesthetics, honestly, I just like at some point became obsessed with heart shapes and pink and like the general, I guess, lovecore aesthetic, and I was like, I'm going to make this my entire being now. I don't really have like a point where it started. I guess it started while I was still in college, but I don't know what made it happen.
Yeah, and like you said, it seems like it was more of a gradual, like it was what's the word? It was the gradual inclusion of being like, I like this shape of thing, I like this color, I like this aesthetic, and then you kept bringing in more and more of it, and you're like, and now you're sitting here, and you're like, well, guess this is my personality now.
Yeah, yeah, that's absolutely what happened. If you could see my desk layout right now, it's very pink. That's all I can say.
Respectable. Shouts out to the homies using the all pink setup. I was gonna say I couldn't do that, but that implies that I would want to do that. No, I'm like, here's my like grayish L-shaped desk that I got from Amazon because I didn't have enough space. Here's like my basic bitch desk mat. The only thing colorful about my setup is the fact that my keyboard has colors on it. I'm like, yippee!
Yippee! Even my keyboard. I got the pink backlit keyboard, everything. It's like, I always say that I'd be super easy to buy a gift for because if it's pink, I will probably like it. It doesn't really matter what it is.
That's like my girlfriend. Whenever like my mom's like, I know one thing about your girlfriend, which is that she really likes Hello Kitty, and she gets something and she's like, I don't know if she already has this, and I'm like, she probably doesn't. And the fact that it has Hello Kitty on it, and the fact that that made you think of her to get it, she's gonna appreciate that. She's gonna probably find some way to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh,
it's funny. So okay, I like that. That's I guess I should have expected at some point that people's internet tags, at least one of them, was going to come from like a DeviantArt Tumblr edge phase. Because like my friend's online tag that he uses, the guy who actually introduced me to your show or to your Twitch stream, his internet tag is basically just his last name. I'm like, oh, you don't want to be doing that now.
Not anymore.
But he's fine. So it's like there's that. And then like I've had people who have even more dumb shit, or they have, I shouldn't say more dumb shit because that implies yours is dumb shit. Yours is weeb shit. Where like people I've talked to, they've been like, yeah, my username came from the fact that I liked the blue camos in Call of Duty. I'm like, okay, yeah, fair enough. I'm not gonna judge. My whole name came from a South Park The Stick of Truth joke surrounding it's your boy skinny penis type jokes. So
I love having more just one set reference that's like oddly specific. Instead, I got like this whole lore breakdown.
Yeah, when you inevitably make a lore breakdown video, it's gonna be like it's gonna be like a cinematic level. Like, this is the situation.
I gotta give the whole backstory documentary style.
Yeah, you gotta get somebody with a really soothing voice to overtalk it if you don't feel comfortable talking over it yourself.
Oh, the production would be amazing. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the production would be amazing, and then the opening shot is some dramatic, like, violin music over just like a transparent image of DeviantArt, and people are like, fuck! This is where it starts? Are you serious?
Yup. So, oh my gosh. Yeah. Thinking about DeviantArt now makes me so sad though of what it's become.
I don't know what happens on DeviantArt anymore.
Let me talk about it because oh god. Yeah, they fell off. They fell off, became NFT, AI shilling, everything. It's not good anymore. I don't want to delete my DeviantArt because I like having the archival of my old art there. And I have I like holding on to old art so you can like see where you've come from, you know? I have a bunch of old sketchbooks too, but like, it's so
I'm
sad.
not browsing that fucking website anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm not going on there. I only go on there to look at my own stuff now. That's literally it.
Yeah, I guess that's I shouldn't have been surprised because I know DeviantArt seems like it goes through a lot of down bad sort of moments but it's DeviantArt is just a reflection of how the general internet and public society treats art.
Yeah, that's true. Oh man.
Like I remember when the worst of DeviantArt at the time that I had ever even had people talking about it consistently was like, it's full of furry stuff. And I was like, well. And now it's infinitely worse. And thank God you told me that, because while I didn't plan on going back there, now I really have no reason to go.
It is very bad now. Man.
Yeah, that's a tragedy. But, you know. When I had mentioned a little bit ago that it was like you were attempting to draw your own characters in the style of media that you had been watching, like, you know, Vocaloid type stuff. Was there other media that you had consumed back around that time, or media that you currently consume that has affected the way that you currently draw right now in your current aesthetic?
In my current aesthetic, I can think of some other media that I was like into back then, but I don't know how much they really influenced my art style. I was also into two giant Tumblr fandoms of the 2010s known as Hitalia and Homestuck. I'm not really into much of any type of fandom these days, but I'll say one artist I can think of probably that influenced my art style directly. There is a game dev and artist called Deep Sea Prisoner, who is also known for like these old RPG Maker games. And I still follow them to this day. They actually make VTuber models now, which is kind of crazy.
Hell yeah, dude.
But I will put their name up there as for like artists that I can think of that are from way back when.
I was trying to Google this right now to figure out what I'm getting myself into here, and I somehow misspelled both of them awfully. So let me quickly browse and see what's happening here.
Yeah.
The Axis Powers.
Oh my god, yeah. Yeah. The early fandom days were the Wild West, for real. Like, why was I allowed to watch this stuff as a child? What's happening?
Anybody who grew up with the internet has at least a few moments where that happened with them.
Yes, that was very true.
Mine? I don't remember what mine was. I don't know if I have had that yet. Well, now is not the time for that. Here's people cosplaying as some of these characters. This looks kind of cool. Okay. This has gone off on a side tangent. What in the world is going on with the Axis Powers as a like? What were they trying to do here? What was the point of all of this?
Hitalia was quite literally an anime where like all of the major world powers and countries were personified into anime characters, and like they just interacted with each other. Like that's literally it. That was the whole thing. And looking back on it now, it was yeah, there was some suspect stuff going on. But yeah, as a child, they of course didn't question it.
Yeah, this is looking awfully stereotypical. Which I guess there's not a lot you can do when it comes to making what are bordering on chibi-ified versions of countries. All right, I need to close this before I confuse myself any further. Those look like fine young inspirations. You know, I don't really know what I was expecting, but actually, Deep Sea Prisoner stuff that looks kind of, it's really silly looking. I don't have any other way to describe it.
I do love it though.
This is so like cute. You know what this is? This looks like WarioWare aesthetic.
Oh, kind of. I guess it's like super rounded.
Yeah. There's this one specific image that I'm seeing that I'm like, yeah, this looks like this is a screenshot from a WarioWare game.
But I do love their art style. Their games were also like really, really edgy. Now that I think about it.
Maybe that was where it started.
Maybe this is where it started.
It's also like this image here, one of these ones that I'm seeing looks like it's trying to be like the Scott Pilgrim type.
Oh yeah. One thing that's also fun about this artist is that they have like literally like hundreds of characters, and like they're all actually like archived on a page somewhere.
Oh, dude, hell yeah.
So cool. I think OC creation's always really cool, so being able to just like click through them all, I'm like, whoa, look at all these designs.
Yeah, it's just like there's just and it's all recognizable to that person's art style, and you're like, there is just so much to sift through here. Like, my goodness. Okay, this is so since some of these questions were formed off of the backs of me having a conversation with my friend trying to prepare for this, I wrote down this kind of convoluted question that only came up because why did it come up? It came up because my friend was like, I have this really cool idea for a model, but I need to make sure that I have all of the pieces intact so that when I reach out to somebody to try and help flesh this out, I know what I'm doing and I'm not just, messing stuff up. Because he's like, he really wants to, he's a big space person. And so he wanted to find somebody who could draw or who could like make a character for him that was inspired off of like astrology. And there's like a really specific Genshin Impact character that he was talking about. And it's this whole thing. And it got me to kind of thinking, like how often during commissions of any caliber that you fill, do you have this situation where there are people who come to you for an idea, but they either have too strict of an idea, or they either have too strict of an idea of a character where you're like, I don't know how I can work around this, or they have the opposite issue where they don't have enough information and expect you to just be able to read their mind and know exactly what they're looking for without giving you like enough references.
Oh man, yo, the second scenario is like so much worse than the first. Oh, that is my least favorite thing. I think in the past I probably ran into that a lot more often, because nowadays if I see someone who like does not have like the fully formed idea in their mind, they just kind of have like the start of like, I want something in the realm of this, I will usually turn them away, like full stop.
Oh, okay. Yeah, fair enough. Because it seems like it's a bit of a headache to be like, okay, you like engage with them and you're like, all right, what about this? And they're like, no. You're like, all right, what about this? And they're like, no. And then you're like, can you give me anything to help instead of just shooting down all of my ideas?
Yeah, I know I have artist friends who are willing to do design work in like iteration based design work like that, and it's just like I would get so impatient. There's no way I could do this without like pulling my hair out.
Yeah, it seems like it's a bit of a headache. So nowadays you look at that and you're like, I'm not engaging in conversation with this person because this shit is annoying. Back in the day I might have like
know
better.
Yeah, I might have not like seen the writing on the wall of what this was about to become.
But like back then, what would you do? Like, would you go through the process of being like, hey, how about these things until you eventually got to a workable product? Or like, what would happen then?
Yeah, I would probably just like actually have to like go phase by phase and be like, okay, how about this? How about this? And then if they weren't giving enough information as to what specifically they want, like if they were just saying, no, maybe try something else, I would be like, okay, can you I got to a point where I was like, okay, can you give me like an example, like an image example of what is in your mind? Because I cannot see what's in your mind.
Yeah. I recently had like a kind of similar issue to that happen where, because I totally had forgotten, there's an artist that I follow on Twitter that she'll basically just take a reference and she'll turn it into a pixelized character. I'm like, that's silly. I like that. And so because I have like a team of people that I manage, I was like, hey, what if I got one for everybody? Because that would be silly. And it's been a big hit. One of my friends doesn't have a set in stone character of who he is basically at all. And so He's always had this idea where he's like, I want this to be like a mishmash of a bunch of different monsters, where he's like wearing a suit and tie. He has like a quarter of a skeleton face, or like half of his face is on fire and it's like a skeleton. And then the other half is like a ghost. And the other half, or like one part of it is a ghost and one part of it is a zombie or something. I'm like, that's cool as shit. And so then when I went to go talk to the person about it, they were like, hey, dipshit, I don't, they didn't say that. They were like, hey, dingus, remember, they were like, I need a photo reference. I was like, oh shit, my bad. And so then I literally went into our Discord and I was like, hey, can you mock this up so that I can give it to them?
Yeah, honestly, anything works visually for if you're going to like commission someone for something you don't have a full solid idea of, but like you have an idea of. If you can literally just like throw some stock photos together in MS Paint and like write some stuff down, like that is better than nothing.
Yeah, because ultimately it's like these are the proportions I need to work with. It's like I'm a graphic designer. Let me go pull these 4 images from Google Images, do some finagling work, and it will still be infinitely more helpful than if I was to try and explain what my friend's character idea was to that person. They would have been like, all right, what kind of zombie? What kind of ghost? What kind of color is it's like that.
Yeah.
If I was an artist on the receiving end of that, I'd be like, fuck you.
I probably wouldn't like be that aggressive, but I'd be like, oh, could you please?
Can you please make my life a little easier? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
that's
feel
fair.
I feel like as an artist, it's a bit. I understand, because if you aren't used to like visualizing the ideas you want, it's not gonna be like your first instinct to be like get some pictures together or whatever. I understand. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. Oftentimes, getting to explain that the process like that of gathering some images and gathering references and stuff like that. I've literally like made a post example of something my friend sent me that was literally just like 3 stock photos with a bunch of text and arrows pointing and stuff, and then I showed like the finished thing next to it. Just from that, it was so nice.
You were like, this is how much work I can do if you put in the effort to even use MS Paint, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Looks like a crappy YouTube thumbnail with all the red arrows and all the red circles, but it's the best tool that you have if they don't have a full-blown character for a reference. Yeah,
it works well. I cannot say that it doesn't work. It does work.
Yeah, no, and I fully respect the fact that that's the kind of thing that you do, because again, I look at some of the stuff that you do and I'm like, yeah, this person's like more of a professional than other people that I talk to. You have a whole website, and I remember you talking on the talk show. You were like, I hate when people go to my website and they ask me the first question that's on the front of the fucking page.
It happens way more often than I'd like to admit. I'm like, please, I put all this information so nice and neat right here for you.
You're like, I'm a graphic artist. I'm gonna hold on. I want to go look at the website, because I want to see how people are confused. Oh, this is a nice website.
Thank you. I redid it, I think at the near the end of last year.
Nice. Well, do you mean the end of 2022, or do you mean like within the last month?
I want to say literally sometime in fall 2023. I think.
Okay. Yeah. So like last 3 months or so.
Yeah.
Because now anytime you make year references, I'm going to be like, actually.
Yeah. I did actually mean last year.
In the most literal sense of the word. Okay, yeah. So then, okay. I understand how this is laid out now. This makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I hope so, because I also will go out of my way to send the things I write on my website to other people and be like, hey, does this make sense? Is this worded in a way that makes sense to you who is not an artist? And I'm like,
yeah, it's like, hold on. Yeah, because it's literally broken down by these are the types of things that I can do. Here's what you will be getting from it. Here's how much you have to pay if you want these extra things. Here are my rules.
Yeah.
Is it a problem of people not reading the rule? I don't understand what the issue is here. I don't understand why they're confused.
I do think people just straight up don't read, which I don't know. As someone who has also commissioned art, I read full TOSs, so I'm like, I don't get why you would.
Yeah, I think there is a big thing where somebody who is trying to, I guess, acquire a commodity from a person who exists in a space that they also exist in. You tend to have this thing where you're like, I would know about this, so I feel like other people would know about it. But then I
Yeah.
recognize that I fall into that problem a lot where I'm like, surely these kinds of people would have to understand this. Like, this is a hyper specific reference, but like I work in a warehouse, I work with like shipping companies, I work with the local carriers who ship stuff all across the United States and the world. And I'm like, surely people would understand this. I'm like, no, they wouldn't. You've been working here for 3 years. You have in-depth information on this. People don't get it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I also do understand that from your perspective, you're also like art is not really the cheapest thing, so you'd think that you would go and read the rules of literally everything before you start like
Yes,
acting a
yes,
fool.
exactly that. Exactly that. I'm like, you were about to spend a lot of money. Are you sure? Did you? This reminds me, I've gotten this question before of like people who will come to me and ask if I can draw a certain type of thing. And like it would make sense if it's like something I hadn't drawn before, or they've never seen me draw before, but it's literally I've had people be like, "Can you draw guys?" And I'm like, "Huh?" Yes.
The simplest thing ever. Like they tune into your Twitch stream while you're in the middle of drawing a dude, and they're like, "Hey, so do you draw men?"
I'm
You're like, mods ban this user.
No.
Kick his ass.
I'm like, oh, sweet summer child. Are you just looking for like any artist? Because
It seems like the bar is on the floor right now.
yeah, absolutely. And like, I don't know. I don't want to like sound super angry about it because I'm not. It's kind of entertaining, but like,
Yeah.
after a while of getting like repeat questions of information and stuff, it's gotten to a point. If you don't know, I do have a friend who kind of works part as my manager for my art stuff, for like commission type stuff specifically. So
Yeah.
like they have access to my Twitter DMs and will sometimes, if they see like a question that we've gotten like 40 times, they'll just be like, "Hey, you can find this here," and link it instead of me replying to it.
Give them the power to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's being a person who's also your manager. I have to imagine they also have to sift through stuff like like the message that I sent.
Yes, sometimes.
It's like, can you help curate these so that I know I don't have a bunch of fucking bots or GFX bots, people trying to reach out to me for a bunch of stuff?
Yeah. I'm very grateful to have the help. Most of the time it's me looking at stuff, but if I realize that it's like, can you see if this is a bot? Am I losing it?
Yeah, I recognize that the way that I go through this would never in a million years be the same way that you go about it, but obviously I operate everything basically by myself. If I ever get a DM from somebody, it's always on Discord, and I almost always know that they're a bot from the get-go, obviously for the fact that I'm not an artist and people don't try and genuinely commission me for anything, but I'll always go through the process of explaining to them actually telling them what's going on in my day, and then they'll be like, "Hey, so I'm about to get evicted," and I'm like, blocked. I don't care.
Instantly expose yourself. Whenever I get a DM on Discord like that, I do two things. I like look at the account, then I look at what servers we have in common. If we have none in common, you are not getting a response from me. Kill on site.
Yeah, I had a situation once where this happened. This happened once where a person DM'd me, and I went through the whole song and dance of explaining to them, or of being like, of finding out that they're a bot and blocking them, reporting them to the manager of the server. And then I had another person DM me probably an hour later going, "Hey, how's it going?" And I explained to them exactly everything that happened with that bot, where I was like, they DM'd me, tried getting me to buy stuff for them. And when I told them no, said, I'm about to be evicted or whatever. I told them all of that. And then they did the same thing.
The exact same.
They're like, "Hey, I'm sorry to hear that, but I hear you're a Twitch streamer. Do you need GFX art?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "I'm about to get evicted." No.
Not same exact bot. That's wild. What are the chances of getting it twice?
I don't know. When these websites don't have good anti-bot measures.
They sure don't. Oh.
But either way, yeah, I imagine that's a significantly more nuanced thing you have to worry about when you actually are an artist and you actually have people trying to DM you on Twitter because maybe they don't exactly know where to go. So, uh, but yeah, I guess I should have naturally. Well, I shouldn't have expected you to have a manager because I don't think I've talked with anybody who has a manager. I've only talked with people who are managers.
It's not like super formal, but
yeah, no, it's like, hey, buddy,
it's just like,
could you help me?
they offered to help me. I was like, oh, that would be so nice, actually.
Yeah, it's just one less thing you have to do.
So yeah,
but no, that's totally fair. And then I guess just to follow back up on that last little bit, have you ever had a situation where somebody comes in and they have way too strict of an idea of what they want, and you're like, I don't, and you just don't know what to do about it?
I think that situation is honestly a little bit easier to deal with. The only time that I would say it becomes more of a problem, and I don't really get this anymore, but I did when I was like first starting out with commissions, there will be people who come to you and ask if you can draw in a style similar to someone else's because they're just trying to get that art style at a cheaper price.
Bunch of bastards.
So I could see someone like wanting you to adhere to really strict rules like that. But in terms of like actual content and idea of the commission, usually if people have like something super, super tight in terms of ideas, they hopefully will have the references to back it up. So I'm like not as worried. I'm not as worried of someone having like no idea what they want. I feel like having no idea is like way worse.
Yeah, it's like you missed the first step.
Having a non-specific idea is like so much harder to deal with. It's like, okay, so now I get no parameters at all? Okay.
Yeah.
Past this, and then I try to give them something, and then they're like, no, this isn't what was in my mind.
They want you to answer their riddles 3, then you can get access to their wallets.
Yeah, but I'd hope for people who have specific ideas, it is extremely specific visions that they would probably have more of a basis of what they want, like visually. Or at least I'd hope that. I hope they're...
Yeah, I guess it's like you'd think that if they start with, if they're like, this is a set in stone idea that I have, then they probably obtained it by like seeing something and being like, yeah, I want that. And then it would be just as easy to go and find an image for them.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So, yeah, fair enough. That question went on way longer than I was expecting. I was honestly expecting you to be like, what the fuck are you asking me?
No, I kind of, because like, I've had the experience of someone who has less of an idea of what they want, and I've had a project drag on for like a really long time before dealing with that. So it's like, oh, that's the one I got personal experience with.
Yeah. You're like, I have a system and a process. This is no longer an issue. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah. So yeah, now I know better.
Fair, yeah. Okay. This is a bit of an offshoot of a question. This is also in relation to the talk show that you were on. So probably in the latter half of it, you had mentioned that at some point you wanted to get into like, I think you said like coding, maybe game design, and creating a visual novel. I understand that it's only been like 5-6 months since that interview even occurred. I wrote down where are you at with that, but that would assume that you have immediately begun working on that. And to be frank, I don't think that's really how it works for people. So I didn't know if that was something you were still interested in and what you were actively attempting to do to try and flesh out that idea more.
Okay, this one's a little interesting because while I'm not actively working on anything right now, I have been in the past and just like haven't gotten time to go back around to it. In terms of game development, as you know, I keep mentioning RPG Maker games because I'm really into them. And I think it's like just a super beginner friendly thing.
Yeah.
And I think they're like, especially if you can like do your own little custom tile sets and can make the art style really yours. I've seen some like fancy RPG Maker games. Okay, I just think it's a neat little medium to use.
Yeah. It's
and in
it's
terms
a little
of
bit
visual
quirky
models,
and silly and funny.
Yeah, it's a little quirky. But I do have like ideas. I have like fully like not written out like an entire game plot wise, but I have like story elements. I have them written down and organized into different documents of like what each project would be.
Yeah.
And I and I have like usually some character designs, but past that I haven't really gotten time to do anything because gotten to the VTuber stuff that
You're like, if you're wondering why I haven't gotten into game design or visual novel writing or anything, take a look at my website.
Take a look at my website. I think maybe if I hadn't gotten to VTuber stuff, I would have been doing something more with that. But it is on my I made a goal bingo card this year that is part of some of them, I believe. I think I had like specifically to like make some game assets. Like just assets. Like I don't have to finish a game, I just need to start something.
Yeah, just so you actually know like how do I use this program even a little bit.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
I'm not expecting to like finish something this year. I don't have any set timelines for anything because I'm more concerned with commission work and stuff right now, but yeah, I am interested still. That interest has not gone away.
I like that. I respect that. That's cool. In like a few years, I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna be like everything at the top of the show: VTuber, artist, Twitch streamer, also a game maker. People are like, that came out of left field. I'm like, yes.
I hope so. That'd be so cool. Oh my god.
Yeah, I have some friends who know how to code, and one of my friends is like actively has to make a game for his coding class, and he's like, well, it's not good, but it is functional, and that's better than what everyone else can say. And I'm like, good for you.
At least it works. If it works, it works.
Yeah, that's the best start. And for you, the best start is, hey, I'm not going to get something done this year, but I can at least start. And if I get it started, then that's a good start for me.
Mm-hmm.
So, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
you don't. Vibing.
No, you don't need to apologize. No, I'm laughing at that. I'm also just laughing at this question because this is maybe my de facto best like favorite question to ask people, and I haven't asked it in a while because I guess forgot that I found it so funny. So I really like the idea that if somebody puts in a lot of hours into their hobby, or if they make money off of their hobby, they're more than likely to spend a fair amount on something that if you don't exist in that space, you probably wouldn't understand why the fuck it costs so much, right? I had a guy on a music creator producer Twitter page once be like, how much money have you made off of your music? And I was like, well, I haven't made anything and I've spent this much on it. And it was a lot. And I recognize that it's funny telling people that I spend the amount that a full priced video game costs for just a bunch of MP3 files effectively is what it is. So I'm curious if you have something like this. I'd love to hear what is something you've like paid a lot of money for to acquire that people would look at from an outsider's perspective and consider that like egregiously expensive.
I'm not sure if I would consider my subscription for Live2D egregiously expensive, especially since I do make money back with that. So like I'm trying to think of stuff outside of it, but like Live2D, I pay for it annually. It's like close to $100 a year, which is like fine for me. I make it back.
Yeah, $100 a year for that. That's nothing.
It's not too bad, and it's like it's also if you are subscribed like continuously, like the price goes down every year. I think I'm like closer to like 80 maybe.
Oh, nice.
But as for things that I've actually spent money on, probably this new PC. Probably my computer, because if you didn't know, before summer of 2023, I was doing all of my shit from a laptop.
Boy, ain't no fucking way.
It was all from a laptop.
No.
It was from a gaming laptop, but it was a laptop.
Oh God.
It was a laptop with like a second monitor, okay?
Okay.
But yeah, Live2D, the thing about VTuber and live 2D rigging in general is that as it progresses, you see the VTuber models keep getting more and more complicated, and thus the files keep getting more and more complicated and heavier. And my little laptop could no longer handle working on the projects I was working on. So I was like,
genuinely fascinated it was even able to handle it from the get-go, because that program seems like SFM, like Blender shit. Like that seems heavy no matter what.
It really is. It really is. And even now, I still sometimes am lagging. I don't know how. I just work through the lag on that laptop, I guess. I was just used to it.
You're like, yeah, this will be fine in a few hours when I'm done with the project.
That's really how it felt. But yeah, I guess the computer, I think it was worth it. I even in just like in terms of commissions, I do like making VTuber models for that reason, but I also like it because it is actually genuinely fun to me. It's fun to
I would hope so.
I would hope so. Listen, I know people who just they get to a point where they're like, I just gotta work, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. But I do still enjoy it. I haven't started hating it yet. I hope I never do.
I was about to be like, all right, so a follow-up question. When do you think you will start hating it?
When do you think you will start hating it? No. I hope not. But yeah, being able to like take the images, and the second you get to like start clicking and dragging around and seeing stuff move, it's like, here we go. And suddenly
you get like that cartoonishly like large, like your eyeballs get like
yeah, massive. Exactly.
Jaw falls to the floor. You're like, whoa.
Oh yeah, that's exactly the feeling. I'm like, oh, this is actually so cool. Again, never mind. I don't hate this anymore. I'm actually chilling. This is so cool.
Honestly, if I was an artist, I would probably. Well, I do think it is pretty cool because there was that time that I asked you. I was like, "Hey, I don't know." I was like, "I know what purpose this serves. How does it functionally work?" And then just like spouted off my whole theory, and you were like, "Yeah, essentially." And just based off of that alone, I'm like, "That's sick as fuck."
It is so cool. I think what's I've had someone come into chat and ask if my model was like a 3D model, and I was like, no, it's 2D. It's my favorite thing. I'm like, yes, because Live 2D is actually that cool. You can literally do so much with it.
Yeah, it's insane that I know a person who strictly has a 2-dimensional model, like doesn't even give off the illusion of being 3-dimensional. But like a lot of people come in and they're like, wow, this looks so nice. And X, Y, and Z, is it 3D? And she's like, wow, isn't that impressive? Because yeah, my ignorant ass would have come in and been like, is this 3-dimensional? And now I don't really understand. I'm like, this is tricking my brain into thinking it is. But
yeah, that's the whole point. It's so cool though. I'm using the word cool so much. I'm gonna start using epic. But yeah, I am into the technological side of VTubing a lot. Well, I say a lot, but like in terms of live 2D at least. There's a lot of other facets of VTubing. I don't know anything about the 3D side really. I know like almost nothing. But like in terms of live 2D, I'm like, oh, I see so much cool stuff all the time.
Yeah, this isn't even from a technical side, but one of the most impressive things that I've seen recently is that there's a particular VTuber person who keeps showing up on my Twitter feed, and I don't know who they are, but I'm just enamored by everything with them because they look like a Bendy and the Ink Machine character, and I'm like, that's cool. I've only seen one like that before. I like this.
Oh, Pumpkin Potion. Oh my god.
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
I sometimes look in their streams. They are very cool.
I like it. But no, I guess by that accord, is there even such thing as like a technically 3D model, or am I ignorant and don't understand something?
In terms of VTubing, there are 3D models, like full 3D, like made in like Blender or something.
Oh.
Those definitely exist.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know too much about how the tracking for that works, but I imagine it's something similar to like VR stuff would work in full body tracking like that. I don't know too much about it, but
You're like, I don't know much about that, but I do know a lot about the 2D.
I know about the 2D.
Yeah, the 2D to 3D looking pipeline.
That stuff's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't get it technologically, but it's not my job to get it because I don't use it.
What's really cool about 3D VTubers, I think, is that a lot of the times they can get like more of an environment to interact with, while as like 2D VTubers, usually it's just like you have the model and it's like the overlay and that's it. But with 3D VTubers, you can like render out an entire space to interact into because you are like in a little 3D Blender or Unity or whatever.
Yeah, it's literally
space,
like you are a game within a game.
Yeah.
Like the most that I ever see is like, 2D models that almost exist in like a small box and people throw shit at them.
The box. Oh, being able to throw things at models, I feel like that's such a VTuber essential.
Yeah, when I was actually streaming consistently, I was like, I think I have enough of a character that I could like do that because just because I think it's funny, and then I don't remember what stopped me from doing it in the past, but I was like, it's all right. We're gonna say your computer.
I'm gonna say my computer. I think
that's a respectable question or a respectable answer.
I really don't think I can think of anything else more than that. This was in the thousands. That's it.
Fair enough. Yeah, and I guess for a long time it will remain that way. But I always love to compare some of the people on the higher end to some of the people on the lower end. Because I've made this reference once before that there's one person that I talked with. She was like, I spent $4,000 on my model, and I was like, all right, fair enough. And then there's another dude who I talked to. He was like, I spent $10,000 on my PC, and I was like, okay, fine, I get it, damn. And then I talked with my friend, who's just like, he's like a really casual artist, but he enjoys art and he enjoys art history and stuff. And he was like, and I was like, what's the most expensive thing you've put money into? And he's like, I don't know, I spent like $20 on this paper.
I love the range.
Yeah, shouts out to what people will and will not spend money for depending on their financial situation. So the only reason that I mentioned you being a YouTuber as well is because it literally took me until you talking about it on the show again that you have a channel, and I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay, this is what I'm getting myself into. From what I can tell, it seems like it's primarily like a showcase for models that have been done, some announcements for just brand specific stuff that you've done for yourself. And then you've also done like, rigging that entire model in 2 whole weeks. And it seems like you actually do, I shouldn't say seems like you do post relatively consistently as well, which I was surprised about only because most Twitch streamers that I know that started there don't do that. And that's fine. I'm just curious kind of what things you're looking at doing for the future, whether it's the same stuff you've been doing or if you're like, no, I got a new content strategy. Let me pivot.
Ooh, I've been watching a lot. Oh my god, did someone just started vacuuming? Hope that doesn't pick up. That scared me. I've been watching a lot more art YouTubers myself. I used to watch them a lot more when I was younger, and then I stopped, and I don't know why, because they're still really fun to watch. But I was thinking about more like art YouTuber specific content, which includes like drawing challenges type stuff and like just like real-time sketching and just like talking or whatever. I feel like my streams are already kind of similar to that, so I thought maybe doing something of like in terms of YouTube content with that's a little more polished and edited would be nice for the channel.
Yeah.
I also want to put more VTuber stuff. I want to do VOD highlights. I've done VOD highlights before, but like I gotta I'm very much slacking in the editing. That's okay.
That's fair.
Yeah, that rigging my model in 2 weeks video, that one kind of blew up out of nowhere. I made that. I wanted to document it regardless, but I didn't expect it to do anything. I was just kind of like, I'm gonna make this and see what happens. But now I'm like, okay, maybe I can do more stuff like that. I do have videos similar to that planned, especially in terms of like live 2D content, because I feel like, I don't know, I know there's a lot of live 2D tutorial content on YouTube now, but I don't know if there's like more casual live 2D content on YouTube in terms of just like here's a work day. This is what it looks like when I'm working on a commission.
Yeah, like
Here's this model I rigged compared to this model. Yeah. More, I guess just like talking, download videos, kind of like that. But yeah, I want to make videos that are a little lower production value, because I feel like if I go too hard on the editing, I won't keep it up. If I go too hard on the production, I will not keep up with it at all.
Yeah, that's fair. I think a lot of people go through that kind of thing. There's one whole thing about like the fact that you're interested in doing VOD highlights and doing stuff that you would normally be doing on a Twitch stream already, but slightly like in a different fashion for the fact that it's being done on YouTube. I think that's a smart strategy, because from what I can tell, YouTube absolutely hates when VODs get uploaded to their website and they just tank.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't expect numbers on my VODs channel at all. They're just there for like archival purposes.
Yeah,
but it's
which is totally
also
fair.
because I've had so many people come into my stream being like, I saw you on YouTube, and I was like, huh?
Beg your pardon?
Oh, what do you mean you found me from YouTube first? What? I guess I have people there that want to watch YouTube stuff, so I better make some, I guess.
Yeah, that's really, because that's there's something so like comedic about that, because yeah, that would literally be like a person who uploads a YouTube video once a month and streams once a week or 2 times a week or whatever the situation is, and then somebody comes into your stream and they're like, I saw you from your YouTube video, and you're like, you mean my YouTube video that got like 15 views? Like, huh?
It's like, how did you find me from there? Okay.
Yeah, it's like, could you not see the Twitch overlay? Did you not assume that this came from Twitch? Like,
I don't know. I don't know, because like I have far better numbers on Twitch than like YouTube, because you say I'm consistent, but I don't think I am like at all. In terms of YouTube uploading, I want to get there. Like, I think one of my goals this on my bingo card too was like monthly YouTube uploads. So I would like to get a little more consistent in terms of something like that, but I am always genuinely surprised when someone's like, I saw you from YouTube, and I'm like, oh, you did?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, because I'm looking at your upload schedule right now, and it seems like, well, I don't know. There's this thing where it won't necessarily be one video a month, but it'll be like it'll technically be on average of one video a month, because it's 2 every 2 months.
Okay, yeah.
But then it went for a little bit where it was like, here's one from 5 months ago, here's one from 4, here's these 3 from 2 months ago, and then here's this one from 3 weeks ago, which according to that would technically be within that month span. So yeah, it'll be, I mean, if you decide you want to be a hard charging gunner for that, it'll be interesting to see what kinds of stuff you come up with, because it seems like you have a lot of ideas in that noggin. And I'm gonna get a notification where it'll be like, hey, they're doing the thing.
I got the ideas. I have the ideas. I also have the things people have asked me to make before. Like, I know, like, I uploaded like a tutorial for like live 2D nose turns, because I know like not a lot of people do like actual rendered noses. They just draw the anime line or the anime dot nose and be like,
yeah,
that's
there is
it.
no realistic looking nose. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, if someone will ask me for something specific like that, and I know I can like bang it out really fast, I'll be like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was looking at this and I was like 3D nose turn, huh? This seems like a really weird, hyper specific. I was like, is no one talking about how to do this?
Yeah, no one. Apparently, from the comments, they're like, yeah, I've never seen someone do a nose like that. I'm like, oh, I didn't know this was like a thing people needed, but okay.
Yeah, fair. I suppose that also gives you like an endless stream of content, because it's like, if this is something that I'm interested in making a video on how to do this really quickly, and there are constantly people asking me how to do this, that, and the other thing, and like you know what you're doing, you could be like, all right, per this person's request, here's how to do this thing. Boom, 3 minutes, done.
Here's how to do this oddly specific thing. I got you. If it's something small like that, then yeah, sure. I know I get a lot of questions also, like, in a more broader sense. Like, I know I've had people, how do you render like this? And I'm like, oh, I'd have to like dedicate a whole video to explaining lighting.
There's a lot more to that question than you realize.
Yeah.
So no, that's cool to hear that you have intentions on wanting to keep up with it, because it seems like you already still. I guess your definition of consistent varies from person to person, but the fact that you're actually making things on sort of an almost monthly basis is, I would classify that as consistent. You know, there are some people like myself who have gone through stretches of like, there was a time where I made like 6 videos in like 3 months or something, and I don't know how I did that, and then I stopped for like a year.
Ooh.
Came back, made 3 more videos, and then stopped for 9 months. And then I came back, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, I'm hoping if I can get like more consistent about it, I'm hoping it like becomes easier. That's what I'm assuming what will happen. I'll be like, okay, I know how I want to record this and how I want to script this, how to put this together. Like I can just use the same format now.
Yeah, and if there are actual hang-ups with like doing a certain technique within editing the video itself, it's like, well, you kind of have to do it more to find more efficient ways to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least find like a workflow that makes making the video significantly less draining for you, because that seems to be the main issue for people, is they're like, the editing part of this is annoying as hell.
Yeah. Oh, I have a friend who is an editor, like freelance, and he streams editing sometimes, and I'll sometimes sit in there and I'm like, how do you do this for so long? Just sitting there looking at the Premiere timeline, I'm like, bro.
Yeah, yeah. That's, I don't even have any comments on that. Yeah, I usually can't do that for more than like 3 hours at a time, because then I'm like, okay, my brain is about to like explode.
Yeah, I don't. It's so weird because like there's some tasks I can sit in Live 2D for 7 hours and be fine. But it's second I open a video editing program, it's like, actually.
You just disintegrate. You're like, ah. So yeah, you know, we all have that thing that we can sit in for 7 hours, and then we have that other thing that we have that other thing that we have, and then we're like, I don't want to do this. You please don't make me do this, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So, all right. Here's the sitch. So these last few questions came from my buddy who wants to be a content creator. He has, this is weird because when he brought your stream to my attention, he specifically was advertising it as like, this is a person who puts a lot of priority on like accurately portraying like Black features on VTuber models. He mainly brought you to my attention to have me eventually maybe bring you on to talk about that kind of thing. And then it was like, well, now I'm the one watching them and I don't know what you're doing, but he still enjoys your content. And so a lot of his questions are primarily focused on that. So the first one is that, from his perspective, it kind of seems like the kind of art space, or maybe even the content creation space, isn't really designed for Black creators. And so he was curious that, for you, what do you do to kind of navigate the space in general to avoid getting the wrong kind of attention? Or, and then this is the other half that I added on, is like, oh, maybe you don't actually avoid it and you just tackle it head on to try and set a better example. Like, what do you do to navigate this space like that?
In terms of being a Black content creator, I would say that I'm gonna say my number one priority actually is minding my own business. If I see some people talking about something on the timeline, I just need to put my head down and work on my own stuff, because honestly, that's what should be taking priority. That it's like what matters more, working on the stuff that you think is cool and like caring less about what other people want to yell about.
Yeah, I feel like that's like internet etiquette 101. Actually, that's a good
Yeah.
start.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of like whether the content creator space is like more geared made or has like the room for Black people, I suppose. I'd definitely say it'll be harder if you are visibly black and being a content creator. I'm gonna say like I'm not gonna bullshit it. It's probably gonna be harder.
Yeah.
But um I think in return I don't know. I feel hopeful because I still have people like to this day coming into my stream being like, I have never seen a model with hair like yours. Oh my god, I'm so excited. And like for me that makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Instantly. For me that is everything to me. Um and like I do occasionally get people who come at me, just to be a
Just
racist
to
troll.
be that. Yeah.
But like usually most of the time it's literally just like an individual, so it's just like, okay, be gone, get out of my space.
Mods kill him.
Mods, send this dude to the shadow realm. um but I'd say literally to the best of your abilities, focus on the stuff that you want to do. Find some genuine friends. Other persons of color in the creator space will definitely like we love to uplift each other. So I'd say try your best not to be and it's like, oh, this is advice coming from someone who has some numbers. I'm like, I'm sorry, but try not to think about the numbers too hard because that's really what'll get you down. Oh man.
Yeah, here's the thing. When people say when people give somebody genuine pieces of advice and then they have to make a caveat that like, hey, I know that this might sound a little bit rich coming from me as a person who, doesn't necessarily have these same sorts of strifes as other people do. Um, to a certain degree, the echelon that you operate in isn't going to negate any of that. Like, with all due respect, the numbers that you pull and the numbers that me and any of my friends pull are significantly different. And we recognize that, and that's fine. But you're also definitely not at that, like, you're not at that level where you're like ignorant to a lot of this stuff.
Mhm.
You're like, I'm a man of the people. I'm a woman of the people.
I'm aware.
Yeah, and so that last specific bit is a thing that I try and it's a thing that I try and tell people in general because I have now accidentally gotten myself into a position where it's where something has very, very big numbies and I have to tell people don't look at the numbers because I'm no stranger to having to deal with the numbers being like a disappointing factor.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
Oh my god, there's something else I was about to. Oh, okay. I think in my particular experience, me just being an artist on the internet has definitely helped. Like just actually being an artist content creator in terms of being a person of color also who is a content creator, but just because I'm also an artist, I think actually makes a difference. I don't know if it's because it's like, oh, it's art. It's art. Of course there's going to be diversity. I don't know, but I feel like because my main proponent is art in general and drawing and making like helpful content, I don't get a lot of the amount of backlash that I see other like black content creators get.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I was trying to figure out a way to piece that myself, but it does make sense that ultimately you are dealing with because I don't know, there's like a few categories on Twitch. Like there's a lot of categories on Twitch. Obviously, for every fucking game that exists on the planet, there is probably a category for it. But there's like a few. There's like a talking category. There's a gaming category, and then there's like drawing, animating, music creation, stuff like that. And so when you get into those kinds of ones, I think, um, much like any medium, art and music are mediums that bring in a lot of people, and they're mediums that bring in a lot of diverse people. And I think because you have to deal with significantly less toxicity within the space itself, Because like
Yeah.
you go and you play a video game, you play the newest Call of Duty game, and you're getting called slurs left and right, no matter what you identify as, right? and
Yeah.
and meanwhile, when you're doing art and doing music and stuff, which those are the two biggest ones that I focus on, it's like you don't really have people doing that kind of thing because there's nothing happening externally within the system or the program itself, and so by extension, you're not going to see a lot of that when you take that to the Twitch space. You're going to see a lot of that when you take it to the Twitter space, and then they're going to fucking tear you apart.
Oh, absolutely. Twitter is hostile environment, no matter what you do.
Yeah, but no, but when you take it to Twitch, it's like most of the time you're going to have a lot of chill people. So I can totally understand that.
Yeah, I'd say like literally like 90% of the time I have nothing to worry about. Maybe you come across like a weird person or like someone who's like a little socially awkward. That's whatever. That's fine.
Yeah, we make do.
I literally am be like, maybe like once a month someone will come and sling a slur and then they get banned. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, the second somebody sees it, it disappears and you're like, what happened?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Very thankful for my mods who are always sitting at their sniper post.
It's actually genuinely kind of impressive to see. Like this is the thing that I noticed kind of recently. Actually, there was a streamer that I was watching. He was playing Lethal Company, and he has like 2,500 people watching him. And somebody came in and put like a spam message in, and they were actually doing it in good faith because they were doing that. You know that little cat that everyone loves right now, the dancing one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So he just spammed that the chorus of that song a bunch, and I swear I saw it for half a second. I blinked and it was gone.
Sniped.
Yeah, dude, like the mods for big content creators fucking eviscerate these people, and it is so funny to watch.
You're so quick with it. I love it.
But no, that's good. Those are some good pieces of advice. Alec, if you hear this, take this person's advice. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I hope it's helpful. One last thing I'm gonna say is if you can be consistent. I will say that in terms of content creation, I genuinely think being consistent is probably one of the most important things. Even if it's literally if you're a YouTuber and you upload like twice per year, even if it's just those 2 times per year, if it's at the same time every year, go off.
Yeah. And that's also just a general content creation strategy. Big brain.
Yeah, absolutely. I think me managing to do my streams as consistently as I have has definitely had an effect. So I hope this advice is helpful.
Yeah, when he gets into streaming, I'm gonna be a real pain in his ass about that. So I'll report back in 3 months or 3 to 6 months, and I'll tell you how consistent it. Well, once he starts, I should say, and see how that advice is treating him.
Hell yeah.
There was actually a small point that you brought up in that where you were like, Black content creators and Black people in general like to lift each other up, so people will come into your space and just be like, "What's happening in here?" He asked another question, which is basically like, how often do you find yourself either collaborating with other Black artists or otherwise forming communications and relations with them? And I realize now a part of that is that like the people will just come to you based off that tag, which is a good start. So that's like kind of half of it, and then the other half is obviously what I just asked. So that's kind of the first half of this question, because for whatever reason I have this in like 4 parts.
Nice. But yeah, basically I think I still stream at the Black VTuber tag. People definitely will find me. They find me and they're like, "Oh my god, another one! Oh my god, there's like so few of us." I'm like, "Oh my god, hi!" It's just like that.
Huh? Yeah, that's actually how Twitch etiquette usually goes. Is people are like, you find a new chatter and you're like, "Oh, how did you find the stream?" And they're like, "Well, I sifted by this hyper specific tag that you happen to have." It's
Yeah,
like, oh, okay,
very nice. Always happy to see it. Honestly, it's very nice to see. It's very nice to see. Other than that, it's people who come in for the first time. They're like, "Oh my god, your model!" I'm like, "Thank you, I made it."
Okay, so I guess I guess for you, that seems to kind of be what it is, or what it mostly is. If I'm understanding that correctly, is that you do have a fair amount of people who just come in and they're like, they come in probably based off of that tag, and they're like, "Wow, look at this, another one."
Yeah, it's a lot of that. It's people who come in here from thumbnails seeing my model being like, "Oh shit, never seen that before. Let me in here.
Yeah.
People who have like, or friends of friends who have been like, hey, my friend said I should come visit. And I'm like, oh my God, thanks, welcome. Or people who have seen me from other platforms, I guess. But yeah, I'd say that it's pretty consistent in terms of those things of how people find me.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. I would also probably wager to say that a lot of people probably see um there's not really an appropriate way for me to say this, but I think there's one part of it which is that your model has like if they're looking for VTuber style content, your model is obviously a very drastic shift from what a lot of other people do.
Oh
Even like the
yeah.
overlay aesthetic is a change of pace from what people are used to seeing. Um but I think another portion of it is the fact that there's just so much detail that goes into it that it's like, oh, this looks significantly more complex than it appears on the surface. Uh, and so that probably catches people's eyes too. But I can't assume. I can't assume. I'm just going to assume. I suppose. Never.
I think that's a reasonable assumption. I think that makes sense. Oh my God. It reminds me, I've had someone literally come and stream, see my hair, and be like, oh my God, can you shake your hair? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot, and I'm like, this is funny to look at. Why is this question written out this way? We're gonna skip over that part of the question. I guess the whole reason that he was asking these kinds of questions is because he is really interested in just finding ways within his own niche to try and expand this like Black creator base in the first place. And so I
Mhm.
think he was more. I think I specifically wrote down. Mind you, with these questions, he's not trying to use you solely as a resource, more just trying to kind of understand and figure out how to expand the space in whatever way he knows how to.
No, I get it. I get it. I am happy to help regardless.
So yeah, that's for some reason I felt like he had more questions here than no. I think oh no, he had a couple of other questions he was going to ask, but they basically fell into stuff that I asked previously.
Okay.
So the last question that he has is actually significantly more tame than like this whole existential like how do I make it uh how do I make it work on this platform? He was just curious if you have any kind of like textured brushes or anything that you use for the process of making like the best example obviously is like black hair or if it's just something that you just know how to do really well off the cuff because surprisingly that's one of those things that I actually haven't seen in action yet, so I didn't have an answer for him.
Okay. There are some cases where I do both, honestly. There's some cases I'll use brushes and some cases where I will literally just like freehand. But in terms of textured hair brushes, there is an artist that I immediately think of who makes a ton of textured hair brushes specific for black hair. Um their name is Vegalia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. um but they have like a whole dedicated website to brushes for like Clip, for Procreate, for Photoshop.
Ah, there it is. I searched it up and typed it incorrectly and it was like this is a Polish Christmas tradition. I was like nope.
Nope, not that
Nice
one.
try.
But in terms of brushes,
What the
that's
hell?
what immediately comes to mind. But I end up preferring to freehand things a lot because I don't know, I like breaking down the shapes, understanding the form. Sometimes if I'm particularly confused about a hairstyle, I will like literally go on YouTube, be like, how do you do this hairstyle? So I can actually like understand and break down what layers of stuff I need to like understand to draw it.
Yeah. Which I mean, that's you. That's my preferred way of like I have this thing I want to do. I'm gonna go look up how to do it in like its like most raw form.
I'm gonna look it up so that I can understand a little bit better. And then after that, I guess I just trial and error until I kind of get something that it looks like, that looks okay, that I like.
Yeah, which I guess is the ultimate goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if I because on top of the things that you do, like this statement I think probably applies to both of us. It's like with all the things that we do, we also are like part teachers in a way where you have to teach other people how to do certain things that you do. And so
Yes.
it's almost like I'd go and look it up myself on YouTube and figure out the quote unquote proper way that you're supposed to do it. Because then if somebody came to me and was asking me how I do this hyper specific thing, I wouldn't want to tell them, oh yeah, I use this preset that I got off of the internet.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. Um, not me. I forgot again. What was I about to say? Oh, no. I actually had something of value to say. Hold on.
Shit.
No,
This is what happens when you go off on too many damn tangents.
Okay. No, wait. I'm
Alright.
back. I'm so
We
back.
found it. We found it.
I have a dedicated page on my website to resources that I have made specifically.
Oh.
Just in case you want to give that to your homie, I will give you that. I do have it now. I've been meaning to make another brush, but I have a brush specifically for braided hairstyles that I use because I feel like a lot of black hairstyles I can kind of freehand because they're like big shapes, but like for really like tiny detailed shapes, like it's understandable you might want to use a brush.
Yeah. This is cool. I found the section you're talking about. Yeah, it's... Oh! Wait a minute. So, like, if I open this... Oh, this is cool. I like this.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. That's good to know. That's good to know that, because I don't know. Because there's this awkward situation that I find myself in where, I... oh, God. Okay. There's this weird scenario that happens where I try and be more informed on the kinds of things that my friends face because like half of my friend base is black, just coincidentally, I suppose. And so I try and be more educated and knowledgeable about this kind of stuff as it pertains to like the content that they enjoy and the content they consume and whatnot. Just because I don't know, they're my friends and I want to be respectful like that. And so this is one of those things where like I didn't even have like a modicum of understanding as to how making these kinds of textures would work. But a part of that also might just be due to the fact that when it comes to art, I can't understand a lot of what I'm looking at.
No, I get it. And then even people who do know how to draw are still like confused about it. That's another thing. One of the major reasons I ended up making that live 2D hairstyle reference is because I think I want to say it was someone who came into my chat and not someone who DM'd me, but they told me that when they went on YouTube and they searched live 2D tutorial for Afro, they found nothing, and that made me so sad. They made me actually so fucking sad. I was like, no, I need to do something.
You're like, I have to put a stop to this immediately.
Immediately. I was like, no, you know what? Actually,
YouTube recording starts now.
It wasn't that dramatic, but I was like, okay, actually, I can probably put something together for this because obviously, and that's not like the only person I've had like other people ask me about, oh, how do you do hair? How do you do hair like this? How would you end up rigging hair like this? And I'm like, I'll just make something. Because like it's good for me. That's free practice for me. And if it helps other people too in the meantime, I'm like, sure, why not?
That's a victory. Yeah, I feel like my friend actually kind of ran through a similar situation like that. It's not like he was looking up tutorials per se because he doesn't do art. That's not something he does. So I don't know why he would have been looking up some kind of resource like that. So I'm going to assume he didn't. But that is that's a thing that he put a lot of emphasis on when he first brought your stream to my attention. And then when I had to come back to him to ask him any questions he had out of respect for him and out of respect for whatever he wants to know and respect for you and whatnot. Which is that like, yeah, you don't see like any models at all that have that kind of hair texture or hairstyle at all. And so by extension, you're not going to really have anybody to show people how to do it, because anybody who does currently do it, that probably isn't their first thought is I should make a video on this. They're probably just like, this is what I do and I'm very good at it. And people are, happy for what I'm doing, but you might not be necessarily considering resources that exist on the internet.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it was literally like a combination of people asking me directly. And like, I wonder, it might have been around the same time, because I worked on my newest model. I did that entirely on stream, like art and rigging.
Oh
So
shit.
it might have been like some of that too, of me working on it on stream, people coming in like, oh, how do you, I've never seen someone do a model like this. How can you like talk about it? Can you like make a video about it? I'm like, oh, okay, sure.
And I imagine this, I mean, how long ago was this? Because I'm just curious how the space might have been different then compared to now, or if it
Oh
has
man,
changed.
I'm trying to think. Cause there was like, I did my model art and then there was a big gap and then I did the model rigging. Cause, okay, I want to say that I actually finished my model art near the end of 2022 because I finished the rigging in the summer of 2023. I think that's right. So,
Okay.
like, it would have been like, I guess, either around that time or like further back in time. Because before that, even my model that I had before this one, had like big puffy hair still. So it's like it would make sense that people would still ask about it. But yeah, I think I want to say that it was probably I'm gonna say like probably 2021, 2021, early
Oh,
2022.
okay.
Oh, in terms of like people asking me about it, I want to say I don't really remember. I know I definitely in the months leading up to releasing my hair stuff, I got more people asking about it because I streamed working on that too, like on the actual hair file itself. People would
Yeah.
come in and ask questions. I'm like, yeah, but it's been, I mean, in terms of people asking about how to render hair, it's like I've gotten these questions before. One of the resources on my page is like actually really old. I think. Yeah, I have a shading tutorial from 2021. It's like
Are you just now questioning? You're like, maybe it's time I give this an update, or you're like,
yeah, I'm like I am working on another video cuz I want to make a video like walking through and breaking down some of the hair file as well. I was just going to edit the VOD that I had of me going over the file on stream, but I figured I should probably like actually like record some footage and talk about it a bit more cuz I feel like I was like really tired during that stream after uploading
oh
that
yeah,
file.
you're like, I'm not just uploading this raw. You're like, this is gonna kill. This video is gonna tank again.
I was like, yeah.
So yeah, that's probably a better way to go about it in like a tutorial esque fashion, where it's like these are these clips are taken from this stream. Break the fourth
Yeah.
wall and be like, my bad, I was very sleepy.
I was
Here's what I
very
did.
tired. I should have talked about this a little more.
So no,
It's
that's
okay.
fair. But yeah,
But yeah.
I'm just very interested to see where that space is now, given the fact that it's been, minimum 2 years, maybe 2.5, maybe a little bit less, depending on how we want to break the timeline out. Because like, I don't, how do I explain this? My friend showing me your stream to me said that it was hard for him to find other artists that were doing this kind of thing at the time that he found you, or potentially at the time that he introduced me to your streams. And so from my ignorant ass experience, I'm like, oh, clearly there's no logical reason to believe this, but clearly you're one of the first people to do this. And I know that's not true, but I'm like, they're probably one of the more like popular ones who have gotten around to doing it. So I'm like, you're the one that's doing that. I wonder who may have come before you who was doing this and is still continuing to do it. If any of those people inspired the way that you do things, or maybe you have inspired a lot of people to do it. I don't really know.
That's the thing. I also don't really know. I want to say I'm very doubtful I'm the first person to do that. I hope I'm not. Like,
yeah,
I
we'd have
hope
a bit
there
of
was
a problem
someone
if that was
before
the
me.
case.
But I do understand that it's definitely, you are going to have a harder time finding artists that can, let alone just do the skin tone and then the features, the hair, out of the question. Very rare. Like, I get it. Even nowadays I feel like it's still a bit of a struggle, but I don't know, I feel like I've seen a little bit more. I know people now that do models that can do the hair textures, but maybe at the point when your friend found me, it probably was like even more non-existent.
Yeah, I could reasonably believe that, because I even just tried looking up Black VTuber in general just to kind of see like what does the space look like? And yeah, it is genuinely kind of obscene how little I'm seeing about this. There's like 5 or 6 creators that are coming up. And then
Mhm.
it's kind of like, and then it's other people reacting to that content of theirs and whatnot. But the oldest video of this is only a year old. That's obviously not
Yeah.
representative of the whole thing, but from what YouTube is deciding they want to show me right now, wow, they hold on, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. There's like 15 videos on this before
I
YouTube immediately starts recommending me other content that is like content that I like normally watch, like Overwatch content, Team Fortress content, whatever. Uh,
Mhm.
and
And
the bad news is that there's only 15 of them. The good news is that you are in this list.
hey, oh my god. I wouldn't be surprised if off the top of my head as probably Kenji, there might be the Toledo's video. I know had a video pop off about black VTubers,
Yep,
but like
that's the top one.
yeah, that's like immediately what comes to mind. Um but yeah, there's not a lot. There is not much. So I shall make what I can.
Yeah. Or yeah, where you do what you can within the space that you know how to operate in, and you're like, this is going to be my opportunity to show people how to I guess properly give more respect to the models as they are, as they're kind of supposed to be, so that way you can see more um like accurate black models that people can actually like use to portray their person.
Yes, absolutely.
So
Absolutely. I always feel bad. Especially like in early VTubing days, you could not find people who just did dark skin at all. And I think I'm happy to say that there's like definitely there are people who can do more now, for sure.
yeah,
But like at the
definitively.
very start, it was you could not find people, but I think there are more people now, which is very hopeful. And I think as people I hope people other than me as well are making more resources and such. Um you will see more.
Yeah. I think on one hand, on one hand it's very hopeful that more people are creating resources. On the other hand, if it's not happening right now, the hope is that as more stuff continues to come out from yourself as well as other content creators, people will then be able to take those resources and use those resources and be able to more easily do the things that they want to do. And then it will expand exponentially, hopefully. Uh,
Yeah.
I'm trying to avoid the whole like societal
Yeah.
understanding of this kind of thing, because I'm like, that's always a headache
Yeah.
you're gonna have to deal with. But if you pretend if you pretend like that doesn't exist,
For
then
now
we can be very hopeful that it'll work.
we will just sit here in the VTuber space, okay, for now.
Yeah, just be here, have a good time. So yeah, that's yeah. I'm interested to see what comes out of it, because especially when my friend finally listens to this, he's probably going to be on the lookout more for this kind of stuff when it starts coming to the forefront, and then he's going to come to me and he's going to be like, "Bro, look at all this." I'm going to be like, "Yippee,
Yippee.
um."
But yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah, that's everything that I had. I don't know if there's anything that you had if you wanted to add any questions you had, anything you wanted to leave people off with before I start telling you to shill.
Oh shit. If ooh, okay, how about this? If you are a live 2D modeler, art or rigging, and you want to learn, but you are scared to, please learn regardless. Please do it scared. I feel like especially in terms of the Twitter landscape. Oh my god, can we stop jumping artists for making attempts at these things? Like, I'm sorry, I know people are not going to get it like right off the bat. Like, please let them learn, cuz I know that is part of the problem. That is part of the problem. There are people that are like now too scared to learn because they think they're going to get jumped for getting something wrong the first time around.
Yeah.
But like I've made these resources because I know there are people who do want to learn, who do want to learn, and they just don't know where to start. And I'm like, take this and run, my sweet summer child, please. Those are my words of encouragement before I start chilling.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think the only words of encouragement that I have is maybe don't start with Twitter as your space to be advertising or to be showing off the work that you do.
God, that is so true. I wish we had other social media again.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, the way that I look at it is it's like you should like probably if you make something new and you're afraid of how people are going to react to it, it would probably be smart to examine it yourself with a pair of fresh eyes and a pair of fresh ears, depending on what medium you're doing. Show it to your friends.
True.
And see how they feel about everything. And then maybe show it to a few more people outside of that scope, like go a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger, and then a little bit bigger, and try and like make steps to what you're doing before you immediately try and send it to Twitter. That way it hurts a lot less if Twitter beats you up for it.
Yeah, true and real. I wish people had the platforms to be an amateur artist still. Like they're gone. Like actually, it's okay.
Yeah, the closest to a platform that you're going to be able to get is probably like, I don't know, YouTube or Twitch, but then you're at the mercy of their godforsaken algorithms, and that might just kill it.
Yeah. I don't know.
Either way.
Didn't mean to get a little doomer there, my bad.
I don't think there's anything to apologize. I was trying to think in my own head. I was like, is there anything that's gotten super horribly wrong? Is there anything that's gone like horribly wrong on a recording where something absolutely awful was said, and not to the fault of any person, but just like got into some very bad subjects? No, not really. The closest that I can think of is my buddy, again, the one I keep referencing. When me and him were talking about him being in band, he likes to talk about the stuff that exists in his town of St. Louis, and he's like St. Louis is famous for some of the worst things. It's like we got butter. No. It's like, he's like we got butter, gooey butter cake and cookies or whatever. He's like, and then but we're also like the highest city for crime. I was like, God damn it.
So oddly specific. Oh no.
Yeah, I don't know. St. Louis, I hate you. And on that note,
damn. Okay.
No,
if you're from St. Louis, get out now.
No, I'm kidding. No, that's that. Those are some excellent resources you've provided. Some excellent tips and tricks and words of advice that you can offer to people. And I suppose if anything else comes up, you are free to answer those people on an individual basis. We're already free to answer them on an individual basis. Get the bottle out of here.
You can ask me questions live or in my DMs. I really don't care. I will try my best to answer. I get a lot, but I will try. I will make an attempt.
And yeah, on that note, I do appreciate you coming on here. It was an excellent conversation. I'm sure my buddy will be able to take a lot out of this as well. And I'm hoping that if this catches on, then more people will be able to hear this from the perspective of a person who deviates from the status quo just by design of what you do and what you're good at. So I really do appreciate that. Hopefully you have something more productive to be doing after this is all said and done. But with that said, if there's anything you want to plug, anywhere that people can find you and see the miscellaneous things you're working on, you are free to go off.
Oh, hell yeah. I am my username Lovmura literally everywhere except Instagram. It is love.mura. I am still mad about not having my username there, but it's okay.
Someone stole it.
But yeah, my main platforms of operation, I am a Twitter artist, unfortunately. Just kidding. You can commission me on my VGen. Follow me on Twitch. I try to stream 2 to 3 times a week. We're trying to do 3 times a week this year. That's one of my goals. It's been consistent so far. But yeah, feel free to come hang out. I do really chill streams. We literally just listen to music and draw and like meme about, I guess. So if you want to come hang out, I will always welcome new people. Yeah, subscribe to my YouTube as well. Lovmura on YouTube. I'm gonna try and upload there more. That is
Hell
about
yeah.
all I got, I think.
Hell yeah. If it wasn't obvious by the title of this episode either, it is spelled without an E. Because another fun fact, when I tried looking you up, I was like, this does not look like the person. Because I looked it up with an E and it brings up this other Twitch artist and they have like, how many followers do they have? They have an exorbitant amount. And I was like, Alec, I'm not bringing this person has the first one that I saw, it was like in the tens of thousands, maybe even the hundreds of thousands. I was like, Alec, I'm
Wrong
not
person.
Yeah, hell no. So yeah, that's probably the only caveat that I would add to that. But yeah, be sure to go check her out on all of those platforms, every single one of them. The links are going to be in the description, even though I don't know how people typically will use links in a podcast, but it doesn't matter. You just go Google it. Just go do you some Googling, all right?
Do it. I know I got that search engine optimization on my name. You Google Lovmura, you will find my images. You will find me.
Yeah, especially it's like it's just enough of a unique name that it's easy to remember, but it's also easy to find because no one else is using that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, go peep the links, go peep the Twitch, peep the YouTube, peep the everything else. Since this is my show, I am going to shill myself. If you're curious on any platform that I'm on, I am also on most of the same places except for VGen for obvious reasons. You can find it at either DJ Cereal Sauce, all one word. It can be DJ Cereal Sauce with spaces. It can be DJ Cereal Sauce with underscores. And you're going to have to play the roulette to figure out which one's the correct one. I also have a group YouTube channel with me and my buddies called Nothing Is Anything. We play a lot of games. We do a lot of weird commentary stuff. We do a lot of dumb shit, to keep it plain and simple. We have a Discord. If you're interested in joining, that's going to be in the link in the description below. And then the last thing is, if you guys have anybody that you want to bring on, this is actually addressed to you and the audience. If you guys have anyone you want to bring on that you think might be good, feel free to reach out to me on any of those platforms and be like, hey, go look at this person, and I will probably go and look at that person. But with that in mind, I think it's time I stop embarrassing myself by pretending to, or by trying to skirt around having to talk about difficult subjects in relation to Black content creators. Thank you very much.